And that's something else.
And we're live. Hey everyone, welcome to Nerd Herd Live. We are back after a brief absence that was mainly caused by me, so apologies.
Thanks, Emma.
Yay!
We were getting ready to go live with our March 22nd-ish, whatever our last show was. And it was about an hour before, and I had 103.8 fever. And so I was like, I'm dying, you guys. I don't think I can do this tonight. So I had COVID. But thankfully, I am well now. Robert also had COVID. So
yep,
half of the podcast had COVID.
Yeah.
But we're back, and we have a exciting show planned for you guys tonight. If you don't know who we are, we'll do a quick run through and then we'll dive into things. So, Robert, why don't you kick it off?
Hi, I'm Robert, Chief Editor at 3F by Space. Matt?
I'm Matt Rodriguez, the owner and Chief Editor of Shakefire.net. Jen?
I'm Jen Steele. I'm a senior writer at fanbolt.com. And Emma.
And I'm Emma, the founder and editor-in-chief of fanbolt.com. So, we're going to kick things off tonight with talking about a little bit of drama that happened in the industry earlier this week. And
are we live? Are we? Huh?
Are we what? Are we?
What?
Are we live?
We're live.
Are we
on
live?
No,
Netflix.
guys, remember we're not Netflix.
Oh, wait.
We're on time.
Yes.
Are we live now?
Yes. So, if you're not familiar with what happened, the Love is Blind reunion was scheduled for last Sunday. And we're not going to dive into the specifics of Love is Blind because that's not super nerdy, even though someone here really gets into watching it. What happened that was really interesting is they were scheduled to go live at 8 p.m. and they did not. And then about 8:15, they said, we'll be live in 15. 8:30 came and went and not live. And then it was just dead silence. So this was supposed to be Netflix's second event that they live streamed. Their first event was a Chris Rock comedy special, which I didn't watch, but I heard it went off without any issues, unlike Sunday night. So the official story was that too many people logged on at once. I'm skeptical of that. Like, I feel like they could anticipate, they don't make their numbers public, but they knew roughly how many people I feel like to anticipate watching on Sunday. So anyways, the whole show was supposed to be 90 minutes. 90 minutes came and went. And then they finally updated a Twitter saying that they were not going to be going live at all. And you would be able to watch it as soon as they could put it up. Well, some people, including myself, found a way in to watch it anyways, which took about 5 or 6 times of going into the last episode, going to the end, clicking, streaming the next episode, and then it actually loaded the live episode that was not supposed to be live. It was a train wreck. So, like, you can hear producers, like, microphones, like, the audio.
Oh, my God, that is amazing.
Wow.
I would watch that.
Yeah.
It was.
I've never seen Love is Blind or the reality dating shows, that kind of stuff, but to hear all like the producers giving notes and all the behind the scenes stuff on filming it.
That was only at the very beginning. So they did fix the mics that were not supposed to be on. And of course, the credits at the end were very janky. The hosting itself was very just kind of cringe inducing, which if you've seen any headlines this week, Vanessa Lachey kind of did some things she shouldn't have done and worded some things and wouldn't lay off the baby train of asking everyone when they were going to have babies over and over and over and over and making everyone very uncomfortable.
Good.
So, anyways, it was a very uncomfortable show. And then when Netflix did eventually post it, which was 3 p.m. Eastern time the next day, of course, they edited out all the fun stuff that the producers' mics, and they had fixed the credits. But the show in its entirety, including all of the awkwardness, is still there. So
you can watch it, just not live.
You can watch it, but just not live. I feel like it was a really interesting discussion, though, and we won't stay on this too long. But what to do when something like that goes wrong? Like when you're Netflix and you just forget to update your social media for an hour to give anyone any notice of what's going on.
Yeah.
Like you had the opportunity to have like your social media team go backstage and film behind the scenes footage, or, you know, take fan questions, go live on Instagram, take fan questions, ask, you know, the people. They're not like half. Like,
I mean, to be fair, they probably did not forget. They were probably deliberate in not doing anything.
But that's messed up. Like you can't do that. And they recently they just increased their prices specifically. Well, not only, but like one of the reasons they cited in increasing their prices was that they were going to start having these live events. So it just doesn't bode well. But anyway, it was a very interesting Sunday night. So yeah, that was the Netflix drama.
At least we got a lot of memes and other brands like going all in on Netflix, which was hilarious.
There was some great tweets and memes. Blockbuster did one that said, you know, remember when you could rent VHS tapes and then you like, you know, didn't have to wait for something to start live. You just watch it on time. Anyways, we'll move on. Hello to our 2 viewers that are currently with us, Matt and Drew.
Woo!
It is good to see you. Thank you for joining us. We hope we keep you throughout the entirety of our show. So that being said, let's hop into what we were all super excited for this week, the season finale of The Mandalorian. Robert, take it away.
All right, so Mandalorian spoiler alert if you haven't watched it. So it's came out yesterday. All of us are caught up, and it was the final showdown with Moff Gideon. Finally, there's been a lot of I don't want to say controversy, but discontent, I think is the word, with some of the guest casts that have come in this season, and sort of the direction that the show went with Grogu and Din Djarin not being sort of the main character. But what I thought was interesting was, you know, the Mandalorian is also the plural word for someone from Mandalore, right? So the Mandalorian could be speaking about a whole group of people rather than one single person. And I think the way the episode sort of wrapped that sort of fit that story point and kind of brought it all together. And I'm going to blame Jen, or thank her, one or the other, for getting me going on to Star Wars Rebels. And yes, I know I'm like 6 years behind on it, but it's going to be important going into Ahsoka. And I think it's interesting watching the fall of Mandalore that happens during Clone Wars and earlier times versus it kind of coming back together here at the end of The Mandalorian, and how that's now starting to tie together all of the side stories that we've had between the two trilogies that they've been bringing together. And that's leading into Ahsoka, which is coming in a very short period of time. The big question that everybody's asking is that it for Mandalorian? Are we done?
Nope.
And we're not. So despite what all of the Instagram accounts out there are telling you, going, oh, it's done. No. They've already written the next season. So it's happening. We're just waiting for the official announcement. There's more to come. So don't worry. Your Din Grogu is going to return for season 4. That was just way too cute when he got the official surname and he adopted him. That was adorable. But was anybody else surprised by the fact that the armorer didn't turn out to be a spy?
No, I would have been so angry if that was the case, to be honest. Like she has been the heart and soul of like the Mandalorian culture and everything. And for her to be a spy and turn on that would have felt so dirty and just not fitting of her character.
I mean, they sure did drop a lot of hints about it, though. I mean, down to the fact that like Moff Gideon's helmet had like the same points,
the horns, and
that hers did.
Yeah.
Although they also have like Dathomir, so
there was a lot of foreshadowing between her and the former leader of the splinter group of Mandalorians that eventually came back under Bo-Katan. The one that
ex-wolf guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So between the two of them, it was like, are one of them going to be the spy? I feel like that episode is a little still unresolved because it was called The Spies.
Yeah.
And I feel like we didn't fully get a view of all of them yet. But I feel that was intentional, which is okay.
I'll be honest, to me, this was not the strongest finale. It wasn't quite the finale I was hoping for. Just because to me, and everyone has different, everyone goes into Star Wars wanting to get something different out of it. It's been so plot and so lore heavy all season, building up to this finale that was 85% just fighting. You've done really well. The battles are well choreographed. The fighting is well choreographed. The stunt doubles did an amazing job. But I wanted some more plot.
Right.
I mean, we totally forgot. We dropped the concept that they destroyed the Darksaber.
Right.
And that was just like, oh no, that's fine. No one cares.
Yeah.
Oops. It's the Darksaber. That's been a big deal.
Sure, they're gonna
next season
explore that more. Yeah, either next season or because I believe what the plan is to wrap everything together in one of the new Star Wars films, Dave Filoni's films.
Yeah,
he's doing the one that he's doing the present film that was announced at Star Wars Celebration.
Right.
And that's gonna bring together, basically be the Avengers version of all these Star Wars shows. So you're gonna have Ahsoka and Mando and Boba Fett, probably all that stuff coming together.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're gonna explore all that more. And
not so much Andor, because we know how that goes.
Poor Andor.
That's got one season left.
That's got one season.
You know what's up with Andor. We know where that story ends.
But that's okay. Yeah. We're ending on a high note. We know where it's going.
Exactly.
And that works. But I would agree with you, Jen, that I did feel like it felt like a mid-season finale rather than a full season finale.
Yeah.
And I felt like there needed to be a scene to sort of set up where the plot was going to go for next season, like a big reveal that leaves you on a cliffhanger instead of what looked like a 90s Western sort of zoom in Grogu with the frog and then boop, fade to black. And it was just, I don't know, it felt a little overwhelming at the end.
I kind of like it. I kind of enjoy that for once they get a happy ending together.
I did love that.
That's fair.
You're not on your edge for however long it's going to be till the next season. It's
tomorrow,
they got their happy ending. It's they didn't reveal Thrawn, which was a big surprise for me. I honestly expected Thrawn to get a few second cameo at the end to show up and maybe kill Gideon or something.
Honestly, I was expecting Sabine Wren. Because they brought in all the Mandalorians. I was expecting our first kind of on-screen live look at Sabine Wren.
I have a feeling these are all things that season 4 are going to end up addressing, hopefully.
Well, Ahsoka addressed
Ahsoka, yeah.
I mean,
I figured they would want to tease more Ahsoka.
Transition. Yeah.
And they mentioned him in the previous episode, so I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they could just be that little after-credit stinger that they have, but
no,
definitely not. Yeah. So
I was expecting that, and nothing there.
So yeah, but I mean, I was still the last 2 episodes were really great.
Oh yeah, I still love them. It's a great season.
I love heavy world building, so this season for me was enjoyable from that perspective because there was just a lot of building out this wider idea of a world that isn't just the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that I always love, when they go off on the little side adventures and do all the other things. So I wasn't as disappointed by that as some people seem to be who just want it moving forward at breakneck speed all the time. And it's but if you do that, it's a 4-episode season and you're at the end of the story.
Yeah.
Like, so that you're not going to get character development if you do that. But now that that's off the air, there's one less Star Wars thing for us to be watching on Disney Plus right now. But it's short-lived because Ahsoka is right around the corner.
Not only that, Visions and the Young Jedi Adventures are dropping in about 2 weeks. So, right in time for May the 4th be with you.
There's so much good TV
There's
to watch.
always Star Wars, right?
There's always Star Wars. But moving on, we're going to talk about a couple of films that we saw this week, starting with Evil Dead Rise. Because I keep forgetting to say, I keep saying the wrong name. I'm like Evil Dead Rising, Evil Dead
no, Evil Dead Rise.
Like I keep trying.
Rise of the Evil Dead.
That's the Resistance. No, that's still Star Wars.
So Matt, why don't you kick us off with Evil Dead Rise?
So yes, Evil Dead Rise. So this is the 5th film in the Evil Dead film franchise, and it's essentially its own standalone film. So you don't need to see any of the previous Evil Dead films to understand the story or the plot, although they do, help within the world of the context building and Easter eggs and that kind of stuff. So the more you know, the better you'll understand the film, the probably more you'll enjoy it. So if you're a fan of the franchise, you'll probably be a fan of the film. But essentially, after a long journey, woman Beth, she visits her older sister, Ellie, who is raising 3 kids in a LA apartment. And essentially their reunion becomes short-lived when one of the kids finds this strange and demonic book that is hidden in the basement of the apartment complex. And after reading a few passages in the book, evil is unleashed upon this family. And so there is a lot of blood in this film. So if you are squeamish,
1,700 gallery.
I was going to say, how much blood?
1,700 gallons of blood, to be specific.
And probably, who knows how much more CGI blood as well.
Yeah. It was quite a lot.
I mean, like I said, like if you are a fan of the Evil Dead franchise, so it's got that horror stick. There's a little bit of comedy almost, some like just weird, awkward horror comedy. If like you're familiar with Sam Raimi's work, then it's got that kind of shtick to it. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It's very creepy. I wouldn't say like it's scary. Like I wasn't terrified, like look away scared. It's just creepy and like, like it'll send shivers down your spine.
Every time I looked away, it wasn't because I was like scared of something. It was more like something was gross and I didn't want to see it.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's just it's more shocking. Yeah. And it's very visceral.
Yeah.
Like I know Robert has mentioned a cheese grater a lot. If you follow him on social media.
Yeah, you'll see it.
You'll see his posts. And it's like if you've seen the trailer, you know what we're talking about. And it's like what I love most about it and like what stood out most for me was the visual effects, because like it is a lot of practical visual effects work and makeup. And I feel like that really really grounds everything. And so like when you see these wounds and limbs getting chopped and stabbed and blood gushing everywhere, when they do it with practical effects, like it looks real and it's disturbing and it's creepy and it just hits you differently. That and paired with, I thought the sound design was really good. Like they really get the crunches and all the different bloody sounds. Yeah. That you're just like, oh my God, this is so nasty.
Whole lot of Foley work going on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of my main problems with it, I mean, this isn't my preferred type of movie. I love psychological thrillers. I'm not a big fan of the bloody, gory horror films. But I feel like it's like trending right now to write horror stories about someone stuck in a 14th floor apartment. Because like we literally just saw that same storyline in Scream 6 where they were like trapped in this apartment with like evil like for this period of time trying to get out. And so it just didn't like the storyline to me didn't feel original or exciting. I like there was some scenes that were gross and shocking that I guess haven't been done.
We have a guest star.
Stay over there. You're adorable.
But I don't know. For me, it just wasn't my cup of tea, but I knew going into it. I mean, I appreciate the earlier films for what they are. And they're definitely cult classics with Bruce Campbell. And I love Bruce Campbell, but yeah, this wasn't
for you.
It wasn't for me.
No,
Robert?
Horror is not my genre either in general. I've seen the original Evil Dead, the first two, the Sam Raimi ones. And I really wasn't a fan of this one, mostly because the campy, humorous type of horror was missing for me out of this one. This one was a lot more like serious and gory for the sake of being gory, and it just didn't work for me. I would agree to your point earlier that it looking away at certain scenes was not a matter of being scared. This wasn't like Insidious or any other film where they're trying to scare the crap out of you. This was just some scenes were just very gross, or I'm going to do a pun, grating.
Yep. Keep going with
I was just going to take a stab at it. So anyways,
Felt that one too.
But before we turn the page on the story, I'm going to go on the record and say that Bruce Campbell's voice does make an appearance in the film. So there is
try to find it.
There's still some continuity there, at least from that perspective. And to Matt's point, if you're a fan of Evil Dead as a franchise, all the hallmarks you're looking for there to ground this in that franchise, so you won't be disappointed.
There is a chainsaw.
There is a chainsaw.
So, all right. Well, enough with the gross. Let's move on to a film that falls in one of Jen and I's favorite genres, Chevalier.
Well done.
Hey, you did it.
Everyone thought I was going to say it wrong. I've been practicing. In my defense, I feel like a lot of people are saying it wrong, so it's not just me. But
I mean, they need to see the film, because if you see the film,
they say Chevalier a lot in the film.
Chevalier.
Also,
Chevalier
Bologna and Saint Georges. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, a beautiful movie, but also those were the most British sounding French people I have ever heard in my
was gonna say, like, that took place in France?
In Paris, in fact.
I would have not guessed.
So to back up for a second,
movie.
Sure. For those who have not seen the trailer or know anything about the movie, Chevalier is a period piece. It's a biopic. Probably somewhat fictionalized, as most biopics are, about the life, or at least the early life, of one of the earliest known Black composers, who is Joseph Bologna, the Chevalier de Saint Georges. He's in the court of Marie Antoinette. As we're coming up towards the French Revolution, we're seeing his rise to power and popularity, but also set against not only the upcoming revolution, where you know what's going to happen to all of these noble people, but also the racism of the period. So he is one of the few free Frenchmen in the royal court, and that has problems for him as well as advantages. And it's just a gorgeous movie. The music is stunning.
Music
The
is great.
costumes were great. I loved our audience who apparently did not know all of the period piece tropes, as Emma and I were discussing. So, and I won't tell you which ones that surprised people because that's a pretty major spoiler unless you're familiar with the life and times of the Chevalier de Saint Georges. But I thought it was a gorgeous movie, honestly. Highly recommend to go see this piece, especially if you love period pieces, if you were a former band kid like me. Because band kids, theater kids love it. So,
and I think it's interesting because when you not knowing anything about the film, seeing the trailer, I think a lot of people will just kind of group it into that category of like, oh, it's like a Bridgerton / Jane Austen-y like love story. Yeah. That's what period pieces kind of get, just labeled as without, fully diving into what they were about or what they are about. But this one has so much to it and it's so good. And I think I'm really interested to hear Robert's thoughts on it because I know Robert was like, this isn't my cup of tea. But you liked it, right?
I did. I gave it a 4 out of 5 in my review. So it was ranked among some of my top films so far this year. The music was beautifully done. The effort that the lead actor Kelvin Harrison Jr. put into honing his violin skills even further because he already knew violin prior to the role.
Oh, nice.
He spent 6 hours a day practicing for several months daily to get his skills up to speed. But also I like the fact that the story was actually very focused because I feel like in other period pieces I've watched, and it's a very small number, granted, the stories tend to have so much going on in them that you kind of get lost, especially if you're not familiar with the historical pieces to those period pieces. So what was nice about this, it was very laser focused. So even if you didn't know a lot about the French Revolution and Marie Antoinette, you could still follow along and be engrossed in the story and what was going on. So for a period piece and a biopic, I thought it was really good.
Yeah. And to your point about knowing about the French Revolution and Marie Antoinette in particular, what I found really interesting about this one to me, for her character, honestly, is that usually when you see Marie Antoinette in media, she is either like this almost waif-like character who had no idea what was going on and has been painted with a horrible brush, or she is that villainous character who evil. Didn't care about the peasantry or anything. And this one really walked an interesting line in that she's neither completely good nor just a villain.
She's both.
She's both. Yeah, she really is both. And I thought the movie did that really well.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Because at the beginning you're like, oh, Marie Antoinette, like she's good. She's cool. She is supporting him and, giving him these opportunities.
Yeah.
And then as the film goes on, it's like,
some stuff and some things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she's neither the supervillain nor is she like that portrayal that Kirsten Dunst gave us so many years ago where it was just like adorable, So watch that movie. I don't care. It was fun.
Well, both of those movies, both Evil Dead Rise and Chevalier, come out tomorrow.
Yep.
And it's going to be an interesting week at the box office. I think what's been most surprising to me about the box office lately is that Super Mario Brothers is over $1 billion.
Is how well Mario is doing?
Yeah, $1 billion. Yeah. Well, my nephew's seen it once already. He wants to go see it a second time. I mean, and he's 8, but he loves Super Mario.
It's also, I forget who the critic or entertainment writer who wrote an article about how there are no kids movies out. Like this was before Super Mario's came out.
That's fair.
And it's like there are no kids movies out in theaters for like families to go to and go and see. And so like before Super Mario Brothers, there was like Puss in Boots, which was like I think late last year.
December. Yeah.
So it's like,
well,
and this is Illumination, so it's like they got the Minions, the Despicable Me, like
there was a bit of a dry spell for sure.
There was.
So it currently is sitting at 830 million, and it's gonna top that after.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's still number one this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that Evil Dead or Chevalier are really going to. I mean, they have very niche audiences. So it's going to be. I think that they will both do well in their respected markets, but I don't think either one of them are, going to lead.
Going to be able to touch. Yeah.
No.
It's going to be Mario.
It's going to be Mario. Well, that being said, we're going to wrap up tonight. We're going to be back on June 1st. Again, that's mostly my fault. So sorry. I was supposed to do some traveling and then I didn't do that because COVID. So now I'm going to try it again and see what happens. But we'll be back June 1st. There is so much coming out this summer that we will talk through, and by then we will have seen The Little Mermaid. We will have seen Fast X. We'll be getting ready to see
Guardians,
Flash, and Indiana Jones, and there's just so much coming. So
lots to talk about.
Yeah, lots to nerd out about.
Lots to nerd out about. So until then, thank you guys for joining us. Matt, thank you for staying with us the whole time. I'm assuming you're still there with us.
I love your name. Love your name.
The Matts unite.
Team Matt.
Well, we will close out. Thank you guys again for joining. My name's Emma Luggins. I am the founder and editor at Fanbolt. Jen, take it away and introduce your furry little one too.
You have a flurkin?
Yes, I do. This is Spot. Named for the Star Trek character, so run with it. Wrong geekness. I'm Jen, senior editor at Fanbolt. That was Spot. And Matt?
I'm Matt Rodriguez. Are we doing our social media? Or I don't know, Jen.
Handles.
Oh, yeah. So I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Renlark, RENNLARK. I post pictures of Disney and Spot. So
there we go. I'm Matt Rodriguez. You can follow me on Twitter at I'm Matt Rodriguez. I do not have a blue check mark, so I joined all the millions of others who lost theirs, but I never had one to begin with. So, yay. And on Instagram, I am Matthew M. Rodriguez. Robert?
You can find us at 3F by Space on all the major platforms. And if you want to follow me with geeky collectible stuff outside of entertainment, you can follow me at Robert W. Prentice on Instagram.
And because I forgot to say where I'm at, you can find me at Emma Loggins on all platforms and at Fanbolt on all platforms as well. Today is actually my 14th year anniversary with Twitter. It alerted me. So my family account is an 8th grader, which is a little weird, but it's all good. It's something good to say about Twitter in today's day and age. Thank you guys again for joining. We will be back on June 1st, which is a Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll see you guys then.
Bye.